Al-Muallim discusses with the Mistura the points related to the latter's initiative on the city of Aleppo and agree to continue consultations until its objectives are realized. The people of Ain al-Arab recover streets and buildings south of the city following clashes with ISIL terrorists. Iraqi troops liberate the center of BG north of Takfir from ISIL terrorists. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Irado Krikorian with the news in English. Within the framework of following up the current talks between Syria and the UN concerning the UN envoy Staffan de Mistra's initiative to freeze combat activities in the city of Aleppo, and in conformity with the Syrian leadership's keenness to protect civilians and restore security to the city of Aleppo and other Syrian territories, de Mistura Deputy Foreign and Expatriates Minister Walid al-Muallim has discussed with the Mistura the points related to his initiative. Both sides have agreed to continue consultations in order to be briefed on the results of his contacts within efforts intended to work for the fulfillment of his initiative's objectives, which involve the return of stability to the city of Aleppo and the restoration of all necessary services so that life can get back to normal there and citizens can get access to humanitarian assistance. In a press conference following his meeting with Mr. Al-Muallim, the UN envoy to Syria, Staffan de Mistura, said the international organization keeps working internationally and regionally in order to find a political solution to the crisis in Syria. Mistura said there is agreement among all parties regarding the need to pursue political means to solve the crisis. He pointed out that his ideas about a solution to the crisis are currently studied by the Syrian leadership.
All Syrians need a concrete example. All this needs a concrete example. That's why we have come to the conclusion of making a specific proposal. Since everybody agrees there is no military solution, since everybody feels that there must be a political solution, and that 3.5 years of suffering of the Syrian people are enough, too much.
The Mistura affirmed that his initiative involves freezing the fight and that the plan is to start in Aleppo city.
That's why the UN came up with a proposal of a UN initiative, which is a freeze, which in Arabic would be?
Tajmin.
Tajmin. This is a new way to see and achieve what we hope, a de-escalation of violence. It is different from previous ceasefires. It is a new way of approaching the de-escalation of violence, in particular in one place, to start with, Aleppo. If that freeze works in one place, we can replicate it elsewhere. If that freeze works, and we hope it will, then it could be a building block for a political process. And I must say my meetings here with the government and with President Assad gave me a feeling that they are studying very seriously and very actively the UN proposal.
Welcome back. Syrian Arab army units have eliminated all the members of a terrorist group and destroyed their weapons-loaded vehicles near Kiryat in Hamas suburb. The people of Ain al-Arab continue to defend their town against ISIL terrorists, recovering control over streets and buildings south of the city following violent clashes with the terrorists. The clashes had started yesterday evening and continued till this morning. Ain al-Arab inhabitants are resolved to continue the resistance, pointing out that the reason behind their slow advance is that ISIL terrorists have trapped the houses they had withdrawn from, adding that a citizen was killed when a mine blew up in one of those houses. Local sources in the city say the Justice and Development Party in Turkey is offering support for ISIL terrorists. On the other hand, U.S. warplanes carried out 3 airstrikes last night, which targeted terrorist gatherings southeast of Ain al-Arab. The Iraqi Defense Ministry has announced the liberation of the center of BG from ISIL. The ministry said Salahuddin Operations Command has also been able to liberate the Police Directorate and Al-Fattah Mosque. According to Iraqi forces, 27 ISIL terrorists have been killed and 4 vehicles were destroyed in Tikrit. Iraqi Air Force has meanwhile shelled 4 ISIL tanks on Al-Sharqat BG road, destroying them completely. In occupied Palestine and in parallel to the settlers' attempts to storm Al-Aqsa Mosque and to desecrate its squares, Israeli forces of occupation escalated their aggression in occupied Jerusalem. Dozens of Palestinians were injured as Israeli forces of occupation fired gas bombs at them near the entrance of Shafat camp, while 7 Palestinians were arrested in Israeli raids that were carried out in several neighborhoods in the holy city of Jerusalem. A number of Palestinians suffered from suffocation as the Israeli occupation forces fired gas bombs at a peaceful march by school children in the town of Taqwa, east of Bethlehem. In Nablus, Israeli forces of occupation arrested 4 Palestinians of one family after raiding their house and tampering with their belongings. U.S. Vice President Joe Biden acknowledged his full bias to the Israeli occupation entity, saying, "I am a Zionist and I don't have to be a Jew in order to become a Zionist." In an interview by the CNN, Biden reiterated his country's commitment to provide military, financial and political support to its ally Israel, noting that the latter receives daily $8.5 million from the United States to spend on armament and to maintain its military superiority in the region. Russian President Vladimir Putin and American President Barack Obama have discussed on the sideline of APEC held in Beijing the crisis in Syria, the situation in Ukraine and Iran's nuclear file. Moscow affirms its support for Syria in confronting the terrorism it has been exposed to and underlines the need to find a political solution to the crisis. Washington, on its part, has often voiced its support for the terrorists in Syria, which it calls the moderate opposition. Finally, Chinese President Xi Jinping has said that leaders participating in APEC summit held in Beijing have decided to establish a regional zone for trade exchange. Ping added that APEC had to play the role of the coordinator and propeller in order to eliminate all obstacles and open the doors for a free trade exchange. For his part, Russian President Vladimir Putin has reiterated his country's openness to boost the trade and economic relations with other countries. With this, we conclude our news for today. Thank you for watching. For more details about Syria and the region and to view this bulletin again, you can always visit our website in English, syriaonline.my. Now to latest business at market news with Nariman Qassam, but after a short break.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. In order to support the Syrian development project of reconstruction, a delegation from Defending Syria Commission has visited Syria and met the Syrian Investment Authority, which has showed the authority's role in the reconstruction process, while the manager has emphasized the importance of the delegation's solidarity's visit and its role in revealing the conspiracy against Syria. Official statistics have estimated the Syrian exports at about $2 billion this year, whereas they were $1.1 billion before. The rise in the exports value was due to the resumption of work in several areas and factories. Most of the exports were sheep, phosphate, fruits and vegetables, ready-made clothes and olive oil. The manager of the civil aviation establishment has said that the first project of the civil aviation sector will be directed to cope with the ongoing growth of the air traffic due to the importance of the sector in supporting national economy and supplying the GDP with foreign currency. Oil has dropped into a bear market this year, with prices falling almost 30% since June. Amid a global glut, the OPEC won't cut its collective output when it meets this month, and the global oil prices will be stabilized once the surplus is absorbed, while the Brent crude fell 0.5% today on ICE Futures Europe in London, extending this year's retreat to 26%. The European equities rose with the US dollar as the oil resumed its decline. The yen fell to a 7-year low, so the Japanese stocks gained amid speculations Prime Minister Shinzo Abe will delay a sale tax increase. Gold held above the lowest level in more than 4 years on speculations that the price's decline spurred physical purchases even as investment demand waned, as the spot gold in Shanghai traded at the biggest premium to London prices in 5 weeks. The yen fell to the weakest level in 7 years against the US dollar, amid reports that the Japanese Prime Minister is considering postponing a planned sale tax increase and preparing to call a snap election next month. The US dollar held gains amid signs of US economic strength before a report, as economists said they will show retail sales rebounded in October. Ladies and gentlemen, this was our economic news for today. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.